My name is Mike Hernandez, and I'm just a regular dude who is passionate for adventure. Come along with me as I share my experiences and lessons I learn along the way. Oh, as long as it's in a Jeep. Oh, and one more thing. Family isn't an important thing, it's everything. Look how nicely they package this. Yeah. Heck yeah. Yes. Hang this. Love it. Yes. All right. Well, I don't know if you can hear that, but it's raining pretty heavily outside right now. We've been having a little bit of a heat wave. The monsoon's in full effect. Anyways, welcome to the channel, guys. As always, I'm your host, Mike Hernandez. Today we are going to be talking about wheels, my wheel considerations, and some of the things that I've kind of answered for myself as I've gone along. Got a couple of DMs, had a couple conversations in the comment section of my other media sources, so I figured, you know what, let's make a video and I'll just kind of outline my thought process and how I do things here. If you're new to the page, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, it really helps me out. And then always I want to give a shout out to my sponsor, who is Raceline Wheels. They provided us with the wheels today. We got the new 9497Xs that just came out this week. Super excited to get one of the first sets. And thank you again for supporting our channel. So without further delay, let's get started, guys. So there's a couple of things right off the bat that we'll talk about. If you know what, even before we get into this, let me go ahead and pause here and then edit in. If you're not sure what a bead lock is, I can show you here. So on my 38s on Rescue JT, there is an aluminum ring on the outside, and then you'll notice there's 32 grade 8 bolts that hold this ring in. So the bead, or the inside ring of the tire, is actually sandwiched in between this ring and the wheel itself. Now the reason why you do that is so the bead or the tire doesn't come off the rim at either high speed or low tire pressure. In most Jeep cases or rock crawler cases, you're going to air down real low, and that bead lock will ensure that you don't lose that tire off the rim at certain PSI. These Raceline monsters are only one side, the other side is held on by a traditional bead. So when you're looking at these things, it just really depends on the kind of performance that you're trying to get out of them. One of the main questions was, okay, so why? And it's very simple, right? As I'm looking to develop this vehicle, you guys kind of have to remember what my intention is with it. So it's going to be like an overlander type, expedition type vehicle, okay? As opposed to, let's say, like my JK in the past, Rescue JK or Rescue JT, which I have now, which is a lot more off-road focused because it's got 38s, right? So this guy's got 35s, so it's not going to get bigger than that. But to accommodate that, I originally had the Rubicon wheels. I had to run a Spider Track spacer. It was something like 1.75 inches. I don't remember exactly what they were. Which wasn't a problem for me. I've run them in the past, but why not run a wheel with the right offset / back spacing, right? So that's the reason why I went with the 9497Xs. They have a 0 back spacing. They are 17 by 8.5, and they're just perfect for this. They're brand spanking new. Raceline just came out with them, so I'm super excited to have one of the first sets that came out. It also fits this build perfectly, right? Overlander expedition style, 35s. It'll fulfill the preparedness vehicle model, all that stuff, and it could manage some rocks. I mean, I would not worry about taking this through like Rubicon or anything like that, but I wouldn't have it like in Table Mesa, you know, doing the stuff that you guys have seen my Wrangler or my JK do. Now, with that being said, if you guys saw the last video, I think it was episode 33, this is episode 34, I kind of went in detail about how, you know, this Jeep, when we bought it, was supposed to be for the streets, and that's kind of funny. Just for the streets, daily driving and whatnot, but also fulfill a role if my wife needed to bug out, you know, or you know, conquer a curb and whatnot. So that's also why I chose not to go like, you know, beadlock. When you're looking at beadlock wheels, there's a lot of pros and cons. We'll discuss a lot of that now as we kind of go through this. They may be pros and cons for you and your build, and even from the Wrangler to the JT, it does change for me. Like one pro here could be a con over there. Hope that makes sense. So beadlock wheels, you're looking at a 10-pound difference in weight. So these are 17 by 8.5. My monster beadlock from Raceline are 17 by 9.5. And there's about an inch difference in width and the same diameter wheel. But like I said, 42 pounds for the beadlock and 32 pounds for the non-beadlock. So when you're looking at that and that reciprocating mass and that weight times 5 essentially, because you have the 4 that are rolling and the full spare in the back, it adds up. Since this build is going to be more lightweight, I want to maintain the MPG, which is the reason why I got the little 4-banger that's in it. It's a 2-liter turbo. Right now we're still getting about 18 MPGs even when it's super hot right now, so I would expect that to get a little better. That's the reason why I stuck with a non-beadlock wheel. So getting back and forth from beadlock to non-beadlock, you also have to consider that one is not DOT approved, and obviously that's the beadlock. What does that mean? You could potentially get a ticket depending on where you're at. I don't really see that enforced a lot here in Arizona. Never had an issue with my last vehicle and the current one. Same thing with my buddies. Not sure what that's like in other states, but you could potentially get tickets. So you have weight, you have DOT, and also there's a drivability factor, right? So beadlocks typically only, well, Raceline beadlocks is recommended that you have 25 PSI in each tire. Whereas when you look at street tire pressure or factory pressures, I mean, you're like at 35, right? So when you drop down tire pressure, for the beadlock, as they recommend, you could potentially prematurely wear your tires, uneven wear your tires. It just really depends. When you're off-roading, we tend to let tire pressure out, right? And the reasoning behind that is to give yourself some deflection on the wheel. You'll see that, or deflection on the tire. You'll see that tire start to kind of bow out, give you a bigger footprint, but also a secondary suspension. So not only is your shock going through the travel, your coil going through travel, or if you have coilovers, it's going through the travel. But when you air down, your tire will have that same effect. It's not drastic, but if you air down, like say on a road that's got a lot of noise, right, meaning it bounces around a lot, your tire does absorb some of that in a secondary form of suspension. When you go beadlocks, I personally will drop down, you know, 8 PSI. Man, I'm struggling today. 8 PSI or 10 PSI, somewhere around there. And then one time, I mean, several times actually, when I've wanted more traction in like my Wrangler, I'll go down to 4 PSI. Or if it's really cold and the rubber's hard, then I'll drop down super low. I would not recommend that on a non-beadlock wheel just because there isn't that reassurance of, you know, that pinch, that holding down the bead of the tire. So looking at the 9497X, as you can see here, they're just a traditional non-beadlock wheel, a little bit more lightweight. It's got the new style on it, and it's perfect for the turbo Jeep JL that we have here in rotation. These AT3Ws also do get a little bit more life than the mud terrains, the MTs, just simply because one's an all-terrain, one's a mud terrain, and straight across the board, if you have either or, the all-terrains typically get more mileage just because they're not as aggressive and knobby. The next thing, maintenance. So when you're looking at a beadlock wheel, there is a little bit of maintenance that you're going to have to do every year. They should be torn apart, meaning the 32 bolts that are on mine come off. We clean everything out, put it back on, and then go cross pattern, do the torque specs that you're supposed to have. That's recommended by the factory, and then you're good to go. With a non-beadlock wheel, there really isn't any. You just got to make sure that your valves aren't old, and that's it. So those are some of the reasons that I chose to go with beadlocks or to not go with beadlocks. As you're building out your build, like I said in the last video, you know, just be honest, make sure you're aware of what you're trying to accomplish. You know, I would not call this thing a rock crawler. I would not try to be spending, you know, every weekend at, like I said, Table Mesa or really aggressive trails out here. However, you know, it'll manage Sedona, which is a level 6 out of 10 rated by the Forest Service out here. It'll manage that, you know, pretty easily. So I hope you guys like this video. That's just my 2 cents. Keep the questions coming. Like I said, I will keep these videos question or my interactions driven. As long as you guys want them, we'll keep doing what we're doing. Guys, thanks for liking and subscribing. I appreciate it. If you're still here with me, share this video to your friends. Guys, if you're new to the page, make sure you like and subscribe. We got great things coming. This is only episode 34. And I actually have a really great 2A shooting video that's going to be, well, not shooting video, but Second Amendment kind of firearm-based video that's going to be coming up real soon, just finishing up some things. So I'll catch you on the next one, guys. Have a good one.